So we're at Hogtown Card Show. This is Hyperhero Radio. We're here with one of the moguls, one of the whales, one of the big guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention
Not
your
literally
weight.
a whale, but
This is Lewis, Pokestop519.
what's going on, guys? Wait, now I'm new to this podcasting. Do I look at the camera or do we look at each other?
Yeah, you can do a little bit of both.
Do a little-
The fun thing about it's like it's kind of just chatting with a friend, and we'll get
Okay,
into it, and it'll go
I'm
back and forth.
semi-nervous to do these.
Yeah, you got to stop leaning in. You don't have to be up here.
Oh, shit.
So
I
Lewis,
hope
like,
you're good at editing.
oh yeah, for sure. One of the things that I like is like I met you at shows.
Yep.
And then we built a community at shows. And I think one of the things that's a recurring thing, at least in the guests that I've been bringing on, because it's mostly just the guys I know, is this was a great way to like meet friends as an adult.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
so like I get to say that I have friends out in Toronto, and I don't live anywhere near Toronto. You know, like I think that's really cool, and I see you guys more than I see most of my family, if I'm being honest.
True.
Right? So
we actually have a vendor night at my shop every Tuesday. And it's literally guys from Toronto, all the way from Kitchener, all over. They come in. I would never know any of them if it wasn't for Pokemon.
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, I think it's nuts. I started this like 2 years ago in this very room actually, and I think that's kind of neat. It was at a CSC show, and
I remember that show. I was here too.
yep. You
Yeah.
remember the Charizard being pulled?
Yeah, Nick pulled it first edition out of the back.
Yeah.
His table was beside mine. I remember that.
Yep.
It's where I first met you and Rockstar at that show.
Yep. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So, and then look how far it's come. I mean, now we've got like a podcast going here.
This is
I
wild.
think this is neat. And there's regular information that we could be talking about, which I think that's why it's relevant.
Yeah.
Is like we're seeing a market dip, right? Where like a bunch of our cards, everybody's talking about how we're all rich, and then all of a sudden reality sets in and everybody loses a butt ton in this market dip. And I think this one might be different than some of the other ones we've seen. I mean, we're seeing One Piece climb up.
It's huge now.
You know, I think that's crazy. And Pokemon just decided to open one of the biggest like
Facility. I saw that in the States.
production plants in the
Mass
States.
printing, which is like, to me, I think is good because then we're going to get our collectors back. So by having more printing, it's going to make our sets that we have in the past worth more, and it's going to make the new stuff cheaper. So I'm all for mass printing. Right to all.
Yeah, well,
Get a collector's market again.
that's it.
We
Right?
haven't sold a single sealed pack in 1 year now because the market has just turned into to trash.
What do you think of the Toronto show scene?
I love it. The more shows, the better. I know everybody talks about saturation, but I love it. I want to be at a show every Saturday and every Sunday. And I think that we have a divided market now of shows that are, costing in and free shows. And we're starting to merge that gap where it used to be a show that charges $20 to get in has premium cards and a free show is cheaper. But now, unfortunately, both shows are the same.
Yeah.
So it's like choose your show wisely.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting because a lot of times, at least when a show first starts out, the community seems to just pick a show and run with it.
Yep.
Like if they decide that that's going to be a good show,
Yep.
they decide it's going to be a good show.
Same with customers. So we frequent almost all the shows. And honestly, when I do a show at HobbyCon, there's a different clientele. When I do a show at Card Festa, when you look at the GT Cards Show, any shows you go to, CSE, there's different customers for each show. But the market is it is a little divided by how busy shows.
Yeah.
I find now that the free shows have kind of taken over the market share where it's busy, a lot of money, a lot of customers. They've kind of crushed the market.
Well, and it allows you there's no pressure if you're not paying to get in. So let's say I want to bring my 2 kids. Suddenly for my girlfriend, myself, and my 2 kids, I'm at, $40.
$40. Yeah.
Just to walk
Crazy.
in the building.
Yeah.
That's
Which
not
was
what we
2
just
packs for your kids to open, and then maybe a card for your girlfriend. And then you were spending all money on yourself, right? So
Yep.
People laugh when they say it doesn't make any difference, but I paid parking today and it hurt.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? Like every little bit helps and every little bit makes a difference, right? So I think like accessible parking, free shows, giveaways,
Public transit, like we talked about, is important.
Public transport is
Yeah.
super important, right?
Yeah. I think having food somewhere close to, if
100%.
not in the venue, I think it's a pretty big deal.
Security. We saw things on
Security. Oh
site.
my gosh.
Some
Security.
of the shows now, so like shout out to Card Festa, they're doing police officers.
Yeah, I think that one's awesome. Yeah, well, and it engages the community a little bit more. It makes everybody feel safer, customer and vendor alike, right? I mean, if you're gonna even walk around the show with a suitcase full of, slabs and money and whatever, you want to make sure that you're gonna go home with it.
100%.
Yeah.
We know that like Pokemon now is at like a pinnacle for robberies and theft, and like it's affected some of our personal friends. Like Zach from Tilted Cards is a personal friend of mine. His house was broken into robbed. So
There's a friend of mine out in Calgary too.
yeah, I just saw that Tyler.
Yeah.
It's so we're starting to see more and more theft, and people are starting to realize that people know the value of these cards. And back in the day, it was like I go buy gold. Now you know what? Pokemon is kind of like gold.
Yeah, well, and I tried to centrally locate myself too. I'm right in between Montreal and Ottawa. So while it's not the Toronto market, I have to drive my ass off to get here. But there is a decent market in both, right? And I get to experience both cultures and both different vending scenes. Both are very
There's a lot
different.
of money out there too.
And I've started to kind of mold the two because, or like blend the two together. I mean, because I met Heatman through the Montreal scene, but he knew a bunch of guys. Emmanuel from Pokejam, Zardo Cards. He was from Montreal.
Shout out Heatman. It's your One Piece can get him.
It is true. It is true. Both of them. He was
a
shouting
solid
out
guy.
his other.
And Blastar, we can't forget about you.
Blastar. It's too pretty. Too pretty.
I know, seriously.
Right? Yeah.
This is off.
Hey, he's gonna come on the podcast too.
I think a podcast with 4 guys would kind of be epic. All just shooting shit.
You gotta tell them I need a bigger tent.
You kind of get more into it after like a couple minutes, because like for the first minute you're like, oh, it's awkward. This microphone. It's cameras in front of me.
Yeah, but it's like the more you realize, like it's just like I really do think that like there is space for this type of content to grow even more so.
Huge.
We're used to Pokerab, we're used to Deep Pocket Monster, we're used to Cool Trainer Ryan, those kinds of guys,
Big US brands.
all those big US guys. But I think I want us to be invited,
Well, so the thing is that I feel is you take the Canadian market, which is like wildly underdeveloped, and the US market is just so developed that we have some vendors in Canada that are top notch.
Yeah.
That you could put them beside, Bulba store, and like you'd be like, wow, the Canadian vending scene is insane.
Yeah.
So like that's why we just booked PobbyCon in March in Expo. I don't know if you saw that yet, but we have Bulba, we have
Is that in Miami?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Close to
So
Miami.
we pulled in some of the bigger branded guys. So we're gonna have Canadian vendors with the top US vendors all mixed together.
I think
First
that's
time,
pretty special.
which is pretty cool. And then
Shout out HobbyCon, Hume.
Yeah.
We're gonna be at his expo here in Toronto in mid-January 1st, and then I'm sure we're gonna get to go out to Miami too.
So I have like
be
the
fun.
illustrator that's gonna be there is the original illustrator of Skyrich Sard.
Yeah.
And the Mario. So
Yeah.
we've got some serious
Cracking to
legends
do.
in the building. I don't think he's allowed to sign Pokemon cards on spot. But
I was just saying I hate the rules that they
I know
they have,
power,
but
that's
yeah.
But he does have a really cool card called Puzzle. He's actually drawn it for HobbyCon. There's 50
yes.
copies.
Yeah.
So he will sign that. I know one got auctioned already, but there's 50
two Hyper Hero auction. Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
one. Yeah, we actually did on that, and it was going to a good cause. So, and by the way, I'm a huge nerd, so yeah, I wanted an exclusive card that I'm going to be at the event, of course.
I'm going to be bidding on the next couple that come up.
Sweet. Yeah. So anyway, Lewis has been here all day. We're not going to keep you too long. Thank you very much for coming on, Lewis.
Appreciate it.
This is Hyper Hero Radio. Check out Pokestop519 on Instagram. He's also on Facebook a lot. He's got a lot of followers on Facebook. For all you old people, check out Lewis. We're going to be here for another couple days, but check out our page too. Like the video, subscribe, and follow along.
Thanks,
Pour les autres, on s'en va la semaine
Hey, girl.
prochaine. D'ici là, n'oubliez jamais de rassembler les familles.
Who knows?